Hot topic for content creators. This is where I pitch a hot topic to you guys, and then you guys turn around and create your own content based on the topic at hand, and or you go ahead and drop some comments down below, leave your thoughts, let me know what's going on in your mind as far as what's going on with this topic, and we can kind of have a little back and forth discussion. And if you decide to make a video, you can tag me in that video, or go ahead, get in contact with me through any of my social media and just share a link to that video to let me know that you uploaded said video on said topic, and I will address your video live on the air. That's right. Today, we're revisiting a hot topic that I pitched already. In the prompt was art and artificial intelligence. And today, I actually have an article. We've discussed one thing so far in the conversation. It's an ongoing conversation where we're kind of embroidering the topic as different subjects arise surrounding said topic. And one of the things we talked about was the possibility for copyright claim litigation or lawsuits or anything like that. And apparently that is what has come up. And this is an article that comes from Wired. It's called "This Copyright Lawsuit Could Shape the Future of Generative AI." All right, so let's check out the article and see what's going on here. Algorithms that create art, text. Yeah, there's algorithms, mind you, there's algorithms that create text as well. What was it? The OpenAI, the one that Elon Musk was involved with. I believe it was the OpenAI thing. That can actually do text as well. So it's like a speech prompted AI. So anyways, let's go on here. So it says algorithms that create art, text, and code are spreading fast, but legal challenges could throw a wrench in the works. So this is what I was going to bring up. So before we get into the lawsuit thing, let's talk about that a little bit. So basically, it's like the open AI thing. So what it does is like you can ask, it's like a conversational thing. So it's like you are asking the AI to do something. So it's the same thing as kind of like the image generation AI, except that it's just all text based. So like you could ask the AI questions and it provides you with answers. That's all it is text based AI. But you can ask it different things. So you can say, you can ask the AI to specifically tell you a story, and you could add in some random details. So like you could, like, in other words, you are prompting the AI to tell you a story based on specific details or a prompt or what have you. And then the AI is effectively writing a story or starting a story, and then you could go back and you can kind of refine it and do something like that. Not very good, pretty clumsy, it's clunky. But the thing about it is people are also using it, like, say, for instance, like answer questions for like schoolwork or something like that, asking the AI different questions. Or also you could ask the AI, which this is kind of a eerie thing if you really think about it, but you can actually ask the AI to generate code, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. Because if the AI can generate code, so the AI itself can write in computer language. And I think that's nuts. So basically you're asking the AI asking it to write some code that does a specific function of some sort. I imagine that you probably have to know how to ask the AI. Like, in other words, there must be some sort of learning curve in terms of like how you have to word your questions so that the AI understands exactly what it is that you're asking of it. But still, I mean, I feel like, if we're heading down that road, we're just really just a hop, skip, and a jump away before AI is kind of creating its own. That you'll have AI generated malware, AI generated, AI generated malware and viruses and stuff like that. So I'm just like, wow, that's freaking awesome. AI, please write a code so I can hack into the Pentagon, says the generic terrorist. The tech industry might be reeling from a wave of layoffs, a dramatic crypto crash, and ongoing turmoil at Twitter. But despite those clouds, some investors and entrepreneurs are already eyeing a new boom built on artificial intelligence that can generate coherent text, captivating images, and functional computer code. But that new frontier has a looming cloud of its own. You don't say. A class action lawsuit filed in a federal court in California this month takes aim at GitHub Copilot. It's a powerful tool that automatically writes working code when a programmer starts typing. So that's interesting. It's not even a lawsuit against the image generators. It's a class action lawsuit filed in federal court on GitHub Copilot. So let's see. The coder behind the suit argues that GitHub is infringing copyright because it does not provide attribution when Copilot reproduces open source code covered by a license requiring it. Interesting. Similar type of form too with the image AI. I mean, there's just like with images, you can use like you can buy licensing for like stock images and stuff like that, but you can't just snatch up stock images and just use them willy-nilly without first acquiring a license to use them. So it's the same type of idea as far as that goes. The lawsuit is at an early stage, and its prospects are unclear because the underlying technology is novel, has not faced much legal scrutiny. But legal experts say it may have a bearing on the broader trend of generative AI tools. AI programs that generate paintings, photographs, and illustrations from a prompt, as well as text for marketing copy, are all built with algorithms trained on previous work produced by humans. So see, they keep saying, I'm getting two fucking sides here. Can someone make up their mind, please? Do these generative AIs, are they using works or are they not using works? Because one thing I've heard two different stories here so far, that this generative AI does not scrape the internet, and that it doesn't scrape the internet for works, and two, that it's creating completely new works. But this is saying that it's trained on previous works, which technically means that it is in a way using works, because one of the stances that have been taken as far as this generative AI stuff, at least with the image generators, is that effectively what the image generators are doing is they compared it to a human being looking up, like if you wanted, for the specific example that I remember was, if a human being wanted to draw a picture of a tiger, right? And you wanted something to reference, you could Google pictures of tigers, and then you are referencing those pictures as you make your own original illustration. But that's a stretch as far as I'm concerned, because you are insinuating that the AI has an imagination of its own, and that's not everyone who understands just understands computer code in the slightest bit would know that that's bullshit. The computer needs something, needs an input in order for there to be an output. The computer does not have an imagination. It doesn't have a brain. It has strings of code, and it's like and the code is not like a brain as much as the code is more like a fine-tuned machine. And you got to have material put into that machine in order for that machine to work a certain way and then spit out something on the other end. So if the algorithm or the code, the AI, is trained on previous works, then technically, in a technical sense, the referencing is literal in the sense that it has to process that image. It's processing that image. And if it's processing that image like a machine would process materials in order to spit out something new on the other end, then it's not like a human being using their imagination and just visualizing something with their eyes and then using their own imagination and just kind of, doing it that way. It's not the same. It's not the same. It would be like, okay, it would be more, if I were to compare it to anything, it would be more equivalent of the human being taking that image online and then putting a piece of tracing paper over it and then hand tracing that image, but then adding things to it or changing it after the fact. Like in other words, they're training their hand, they're tracing that image over and over and over again until they have the muscle memory. Okay, this is how you draw a tiger. And then they can start messing with it from that point onwards, because now they have the muscle memory, say, okay, this is how you draw a tiger. And now I'm going to start messing with it and putting it in different, stances and whatnot. That would make a lot more sense. In which case, I guess there would be an argument to be made. I have to say, maybe if that were the case, but still technically they're using the image to train the AI. So therefore it's in the code, whereas the human being has the benefit of doubt. So D.A. Bell writes, I've done my fair share of AI. I don't like them. Art AI is ugly without some image uploaded. Art AI Art AI is ugly without some image uploaded. Art AI looks good, but there's no passion behind it. Writing AI is clumsy. It's a mess. So D.A. Bell goes on, he writes, GitHub, owned by Microsoft. That's big. Herman chimes in. Herman says, this is what I've been warning about. You can't use copyrighted source material without permission. And this is doubly true when you try to sell the end result. And yeah, I mean, it's getting hairy. It's getting dicey. Let's see. D.A. Bell, depends. Some generative AI does scrape the internet. Others don't do it. You see? And that's where it gets confusing to me. And also we covered that article. Also, I don't know if you heard about that, DA, but there was the DeviantArt website getting in on the generative AI image game. And they are basically, what it sounded like is they're trying to position themselves as like the only safe platform for artists. That's what it sounded like to me. And I thought that was kind of weird. And that's where they are talking about they have a directive in place to protect the artist's work from those very type of generative AI apps that do scrape the internet. So basically they may be able to scrape the internet, but there's code or any deviants, what they call deviants on that website that are uploaded, can have like some sort of special encryption on them, so which will actually protect them against AI, generative AI models. So Herman goes on and says AI has to be trained. And so such weird terminology too, isn't it? Training it. What is this, fucking Skynet? It's becoming self-aware. It's just a matter of time, folks. Goes on to say, I worked on a lane change AI that had to be trained. Is that lane change? What does that mean? Road. Okay. I worked on a lane change AI that had to be trained with images of road conditions. So these AI systems are being trained on existing works. Interesting. Oh, yeah. With the self-driving cars. Interesting. D.A. Bell goes on. He says, I've used one of the mobile apps, Wonder AI, where the AI was clearly using comic book covers as inspiration. I meant art AI is ugly when there's no reference being uploaded for the AI to use. Oh, okay. So when the AI is using its alleged imagination, when the AI is drawing a human with no reference, they usually look horrible. I heard of that. Like they have like 6 fingers and 7 toes and all that. Let's go on with the rest of this article here. So visual artists have been the first to question the legality and ethics of AI that incorporates existing work. Some people who make a living from their visual creativity are upset that AI art tools trained on their work can then produce new images in the same style. The Recording Industry Association of America, a music industry group, has signaled that AI-powered music generation, Jesus Christ, we're hitting all forms of media, people. Nobody's safe. Hide your wives, hide your kids. They're coming for them next. And remixing could be a new area of copyright concern. Quote, this whole arc that we're seeing right now, this generative AI space, what does it mean for these new products to be sucking up the work of these creators? End quote, says Matthew Butterick, a designer, programmer, and lawyer who brought the lawsuit against GitHub. Matthew Butterick, remember that name. Copilot is a powerful example of the creative and commercial potential of generative AI technology. The tool was created by GitHub, a subsidiary of Microsoft that hosts the code for hundreds of millions of software projects. That tosses up a red flag right there. Remember what I was just talking about with AI-generated malware and computer viruses? Beware, beware. GitHub made it by training an algorithm designed to generate code from AI startup OpenAI, there it is, on the vast collection of code it stores, producing a system that can preemptively complete large pieces of code after a programmer makes a few keystrokes. A recent study by GitHub suggests that coders can complete some tasks in less than half the time normally required when using Copilot as an aid. But as some coders quickly noticed, Copilot will occasionally reproduce recognizable snippets of code cribbed from the millions of lines in public code repositories. See, I didn't even know that. I guess it makes sense that you could copyright computer code just as well as you can copyright prose in a piece of fiction or nonfiction. I mean, it makes sense. You're still using a language. It's computer programming language. So I'd imagine you'd probably be able to, copyright code just as well as anything else. I don't know exactly how that works, but maybe you have to patent it instead. The lawsuit filed by Butterick and others accuses Microsoft, GitHub, and OpenAI of infringement on copyright because this code does not include the attribution required by the open source licenses covering that code. Well, there you go. Programmers have, of course, always studied, learned from, and copied each other's code, but not everyone is sure it is fair for AI to do the same, especially if AI can then churn out tons of valuable code itself without respecting the source material's license requirements. Quote, as a technologist, I'm a fan of AI, end quote, Butterick says. I'm looking forward to all the possibilities of these tools, but they have to be fair to everybody. See, here's the thing. It's like a double speak thing. You know what I mean? It's like almost like trying not to step on anyone's toes. Don't want to take a strong stance like a yes or no against or for the AI, but at the same time, kind of like a want your cake and eat it too type of situation. There's these folks where it's like, want the cake and eat it too. I don't know. Me personally, I'm just like, I don't want it. I don't even want to get involved with it. I mean, I can see, I say that, but I can see like how, maybe there are some artists that would like to use it in kind of derivative ways. Like, for instance, like, say you just like want to draw, like, for instance, like comic book artists or something like that, or maybe even actually screw that, I'll come up with a whole new example. So we'll say like game development. So like when you're working in game development, say you don't want to hire artists and stuff like that to just make or spend your own time just making fucking textures. Okay, making textures for your digital assets, for your 3D assets or whatever. So you just use AI generated images to create, generic textures for you. So whether it be grass or sand or a rocky terrain or something like that, I could see, AI generation like being used as a tool in that sense, where it's just kind of derivative. It's like these little things. But I mean, then again, you still have to, I still stand by what I said before. Like, if you're going to use this AI technology, you have to accredit that in your works, because it takes away from the merit. I stand by that stance. If you use generative AI technology in your artwork, then I think it takes away from the artistic merit of the work. Not to say it takes away from the artistic value of the work, because like I said, there's plenty of people out there using this stuff, and it creates a lot of pretty pictures that people are clearly appreciating. Objectively, they are appreciating this stuff. So therefore, when things are appreciated, that means they have value. Now, it's a subjective thing. Would I pay money for it? Probably not. Probably not. Like I say, I like my art the old-fashioned way, and I would just, if I want art, I would rather just hire an artist, But that's neither here nor there as far as the article goes. Let me check in with you guys, see what you say again. D.A. Bell says, yeah, imagine how companies are going to adapt them into the workplace to lay off employees. Oh boy. Yeah. And that, like, people think like this is like, yeah, this is a win for the indies. No, it's not. It's not a win for the indies. It's a win for big corporations because all your asses are going to get fired. Yay. And then you guys are going to be indies like the rest of us. And you're going to have to, build up your own thing, just like all the rest of us are doing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, it's no skin off my back. Like I'm indie through and through. I'm good with it. But I'm just saying a lot of these like career guys that, they've acquired a shit ton of fucking college debt and they're out there and they've been busting their ass to build up a career. That's why I say that the technology is a double-edged sword. It always has been a double-edged sword. So you have to learn how to adapt with the technology. Once the genie, especially in this case, once the genie is out of the bottle, you can't put the genie back in the fucking bottle. It's out. It's gone. He's out there. It's already done. Done deal. So now you got to learn how to deal with it. And that's the tricky part. How do you adapt? How do you move? How do you navigate with this new variable, this new ingredient added to the mix, creating further complications and convoluting all industries, apparently. So Thomas Donk, the CEO of GitHub, says that Copilot now comes with a feature designed to prevent copying from existing code. He says, when you enable this and the suggestion that Copilot would make matches code published on GitHub, not even looking at the license, it will not make that suggestion, he says. That was a hard fucking sentence to read. Whether this provides enough legal protection remains to be seen, and the coming legal case may have broader implications. Assuming it doesn't settle, it's definitely going to be a landmark case, says Louis Villa, a coder turned lawyer who specializes in cases related to open source. It says Villa, who knows GitHub co-founder Nat Friedman personally, does not believe it is clear that tools like Copilot go against the ethos of open source and free software. He says, the free software movement in the 80s and 90s talked a lot about reducing the power of copyrights in order to increase people's ability to code, he says. He goes on to say, I find it a little bit frustrating that we're now in a position where some people are running around saying we need maximum copyright in order to protect these communities. So there you go. Open source, now a part of the generative AI debate. What do you guys think? Open source. They need stronger and more strict copyright law and licensing as far as that goes. Perhaps this could lead to more regulation, which, being someone involved in the indie market, I absolutely do not want more of. I just, the idealist in me really wishes that this shit wasn't a problem, or wouldn't be a problem, or shouldn't be a problem. But unfortunately, the realist in me understands the human condition enough to understand that this shit is going to be a problem, that it's effectively, inevitably going to be a problem, because there's going to be ways in which the AI can be used to, skirt the legal system, unless something is actually done about it. So we'll see how that one plays out. Let's check in with you guys one more time before we sign off on this segment. Herman comes in. Herman says, the other downside is that if you train an AI on crappy code, the result you get is, you guessed it, crappy code. Garbage in, garbage out. And D.A. Bell, one example I always use is that if you're a content writer loaded with work, you have a deadline coming, go to Copy AI, input a prompt and get the output. Tweak the text. Mention it's AI generated. So that was what they were saying in the article, is that some people were, and I've been aware of these, I've been aware of like the text-based AI before, because there used to be like, it was an application. I don't know if it was the same thing, so long ago. I never used them. I was aware of them. Where basically, because I used to be really into like blogging and stuff, when I first launched my website. And I mean, there was these things where it's like these AI, well, it was an application or whatever, where it's like, it was scrape articles on the internet or something like that, or you upload an article. I don't remember how it worked, and it would basically, it would just kind of put out a new article that was effectively in the same context. It was using the same words, it was using the same type of subject matter seemingly, but it was clumsy, it was clunky, and it read like a piece of shit, and it didn't really work that well. But it was effectively, like how you were saying, being used by some bloggers, black hatters and stuff like that, as kind of like a starting point to basically continue to pump out content on their blog. And I was always took the stance, because that was a big debate among bloggers, was is it the quantity or the quality of the content? And I was always took the stance of content is king in that regard. Like, I would rather have less articles but more substance and value in the article than to be constantly pumping out content. And I know that's like not a lot of people like to hear that term. Right on the tail end of the topic, Rainer chimes in. It's going to be cheap way to steal stuff. More or less. I mean, that's what they're insinuating with that article. The article talking about stealing basically computer generated code that is sidestepping the legal system as far as licensing goes. That's it. You guys want to, if you guys, anything that I talked about here during this episode of Hot Topic, go ahead, share your comments down below. I will address your comments live on the air during a future show. Or if you want to create your own video in regards to this topic in the article, I will be putting the link of the article in the description down below. So if you want to read it for yourself, review it, talk about it, what have you, and you want to chime in, go ahead, tag me in your video or share the link if you do upload a video, and I'll gladly watch it, and I can perhaps I can share a little commentary, and we can kind of continue this topic that way.